Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's now 5 o'clock and we'll begin our Committee of Adjustment meeting for the month of October. For everyone's information, we'll generally deal with each application according to the order of the agenda. Extra copies are available at the back. Anyone present who wishes to speak in support or against an application, as well as anyone with questions or concerns, will have an opportunity to speak. The committee will make their decision following each application. If there's anyone present who is not an applicant or agent but is interested in the decision of the committee, you may file your interest with our Secretary Treasurer. Please list the file number and your full name and mailing address. Copies of the decisions are automatically sent to the applicant and agent within 15 days of today's meeting. Only the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may appeal decisions in respect to the applications for consent or minor variances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. The decisions are final if there are no appeals 20 days after the committee decision. I remind everyone that we are being recorded. To mute your devices, as well as if you wish to speak an application, please make your way to the podium at the time. Make sure the mic is on and state your first name and last name for the record. The first order of business today is to determine if any members have any disclosures of interest. Any? Seeing none? Okay. Have all the members received the minutes of the previous meeting? Are there any errors or omissions? Linda, go ahead.
I just wanted to note on page 6 of the minutes, and it's 5.10, and it's BNPL 2023198. The minutes note that there was a desire to have condition 4 removed, and that also concerns were raised regarding 2 and 3 conditions to be removed.
Okay.
But it doesn't actually reflect in the minutes if we did remove those conditions.
Okay.
I'm sure the decision probably identifies that, but I just wanted to ask that the minutes reflect whether or not those were removed.
Let's give Jody a chance to look that over.
If I may, through the chair, based on my familiarity with the application, I believe the conditions remained as proposed. Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, so do those, do they need to be removed, or they're fine? The minutes are okay. Okay, all right. All right, so then they're okay. So anyway, so I have a resolution to adopt the minutes from last month's meeting. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Linda? Seconded by Bill? Tim? David? It's carried. Okay. So our first application to be considered is file number BNPL 2023249 in the name of Donald and Judy Wilson. And the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to sever a parcel having a frontage of 12.68 meters, a width of 10 meters, a depth of 10 meters, and having an area of 510.6 square meters, or 0.126 acres, and retain a parcel having an area of 467.7 square meters to facilitate the division of a semi-detached dwelling into separate lots. The subject lands are located on the north side of Yeager Avenue between the junctions of Angle Street and Donnelly Drive South. There are previously approved OPA ZBA applications on the land with reference numbers OPNPL 2021082 and ZNPL 2021083, which allowed for the change of use of the land from R4 to R2 and the severance of 4 lots to form 5 lots in total. As this went through the OPA-ZBA route rather than a draft plan of subdivision, when semi-detached or townhouses are built on the land, a further severance is required once the lot lines can be confirmed following construction. Well, excuse me. While it's currently known as 11 Jaeger, the lots in question are 7A and 7B Jaeger Avenue, with 7A being the lot to be severed. The subject application will separate the pair of semi-detached houses following the approval of ZNPL 2021083 and 2021082, which approve the change of use of the land. Sorry about this. Given this, it's staff's opinion that the proposed application meets the intent of the Planning Act, the PPS, the official plan, and the zoning bylaws, and is recommended for approval.
Okay, thank you. Is there an agent or applicant present? No? Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this application in attendance or online? Wishes of the committee? So file number BNPL 2023249 in the name of Donald and Judy Wilson. This application is consistent with provincial policy statement, complies with the policies of the Norfolk County official plan regarding the creation of a lot within an agricultural area. I think that's a typo. Andrew? Okay. It's in an urban. That should be an urban, yes. Within the urban area and meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. All in favor? It's carried. Approved. Right spot. Okay, next up we have file number. Next up, we have file number BNPL 2023240, Mark Bristol, care of Ollie Switch Developments. Planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Just noting up top, a list of amended conditions should have been circulated to committee. Liz, Sherry, thank you very much. And then I just have some physical copies as well if that's needed. So an application has been received to sever a parcel having a frontage of approximately 36 meters, width of 43 meters, depth of 120 meters, an area of 5,101 square meters as the creation of a lot in the urban area of Simcoe, and to retain a parcel having a frontage, again, approximately of 28 meters, width of the same, depth of 74 meters, and an area of 1,757 square meters. The subject lands are located east of the intersection of Culver Street and Sydenham Street, with frontage on Sydenham, and the subject lands to be severed or occupied by a commercial building that is currently being leased by the Brick. Directly east of the subject lands are abutting parcels with civic address 56 Pond and 62 Pond Street. The intent of this application is to sever the lands containing the existing commercial building and associated parking area and retain a parcel to be reconfigured into a future development lot. The retained parcel is planned to be merged with 56 Pond Street and 62 Pond Street and developed into a residential apartment building, which will be reviewed through the site plan control process separately from the subject severance. A planning justification report was included by the applicant and is an attachment 2. Subject lands are designated urban residential and zoned central business district with 2 special provisions, 14709 and 14903. Figure 1 of my report shows where these different zoning provisions are demarcated on the subject lands. The provincial policy statement provides guidance on efficient land use and intensification in existing settlement areas. Its staff's opinion of the proposed severance, which is considered a method of land reconfiguration, supports the provincial goals. Additionally, the official plan provides guidance on severances in Norfolk County, highlighting goals such as protecting the long-term use of the remaining land or retained land. Since the severed lands do not have an existing site plan and will need to have entrances and parking reconfigured, there are some anticipated impacts to the site's viability. The design of key elements like parking, vehicular entrances, right-of-way works, and drainage affect viability of the parcel from a land use perspective. And the site plan control process is the mechanism to do this. So with that said, planning staff have worked with the applicant and engineering staff to craft conditions 2 and 3 on the amended list. Similarly, conditions 4 through 8 have been added by the planning department to ensure the retained lands merge with the abutting parcels, and the proposed site plan for the retained lands is complete. Lastly, condition 9 was added by the building department. With that said, planning staff thank the applicant for their collaboration, consider the subject application to be consistent with the policies of the provincial policy statement and official plan as it pertains to consent to separate policies. I'm supporting this application, recommend that it be approved, subject to the attached conditions. Available for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there an applicant or agent present?
Mr. Chairman, I'm Robert Walters. I'm the agent and planner on the application. I have Mark Bristol online as well, who's with Ollie Switch Developments, who's the applicant. And we've worked with staff to tweak some of the conditions as mentioned, mainly the creation of the development agreement for some of the design works that have to take place on the severed lands. We've read the report and we accept the amended conditions. We don't have any further comments, really.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Does the committee have any questions of the agent or applicant? Is there anyone online or present that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none, the wishes of the committee are Linda moves to approve. A seconder?
I'll second.
Tim, thank you. So file number BNPL 2023240, Mark Bristol, care of Ollie Switch Developments. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, complies with the policies of the Norfolk County official plan regarding the creation of a lot within an urban area. Got agricultural here for some reason. And meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you.
If I may, Chair. Through the chair, can we make sure all members turn on their microphone when they're doing motions? Otherwise, they can't be heard online. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Yep. Okay, next up we have file number ANPL 2023253. Frank Borgoff, please, and the planner can give the report.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll get to you.
Through the chair, an application has been received to construct an accessory structure requiring relief of 64 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of 55 square meters to permit a usable floor area of 119 square meters, 2% from the required lot coverage of 10% to permit a lot coverage of 12%, and 0.9 meters from the maximum height of an accessory building of 5 meters to permit a height of 5.9 meters. The subject lands are located on the eastern side of Sheridan Boulevard at the junction with Thorncliffe Road. This corner lot has an area of approximately 0.25 acres and is zoned R1A. It has a frontage of approximately 38 meters and vehicle access onto Sheridan Boulevard. There is a small existing shed on the site which would be removed. The proposal will facilitate the development of an accessory outbuilding / garage, which is accessory to the existing single detached dwelling. Given this, it's staff's opinion that the proposed application meets the intent of the Planning Act, the Planning Policy Statement, and the official plan. The application seeks relief of 64 square meters and 2% in lot coverage, as well as 0.9 meters in overall height to allow for the construction of a 3-car garage outbuilding. All other zoning provisions would be met in terms of use, setback, and position relative to the house dwelling. The level of relief sought is relatively small and would be unlikely to result in any harm to neighboring amenity or harm to the streetscape, and the site is of sufficient size to accommodate the structure. Given this, it's considered that the proposed relief is minor and appropriate in this instance and would accord with the intent and purposes of the zoning bylaw. As such, staff recommend this file be approved.
Okay, thank you. And the applicant is present. Does the committee have any questions for the planner? Does the applicant or agent have anything to add? Could you come up to the podium and turn on the microphone, please? Turn the, it's a, oh, the button on the front.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, it's been a very frustrating event for me. I moved to Simcoe back in June, and I started this process in May, on May the 2nd to be sure. And I was in contact with one of the representatives for about, well, I gave up after 2 months, and then I went back at it, and I had another meeting with one of the other individuals, and we had it resolved in an hour and a half. And as a result, but that pushed this forward another 2.5 months before I got before this committee meeting. The summer's gone. My construction plans are gone. And I think that's been a real bad experience here so far. It's not, and I don't blame the first individual. I just think either she's not suited for the job or she just didn't grasp the idea of what should be required. I mean, I go to Home Depot and still buy a 2x4. I really don't go down and say it's so many meters and all this stuff. Okay. Now, this, the 3-car garage is for my own personal use. I have an older car and plus the 2 vehicles that we drive. We couldn't attach it to the house because of the house construction. Okay, so I thought, well, and I can lower the roof a little bit because I've talked to a couple of contractors.
Can I just hold you there for a second? The planners are recommending approval.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so
I just wanted to be heard
yeah,
because of my frustration.
I understand. Yeah,
And I hear that from the contractors. That's been a big issue. They say, you go to council, we're not. Okay, so, well,
Okay.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate that, but I thought you should know what the community is.
just to rebut your first statement about how long it takes, this committee has lots of applications. Last month alone, we heard 18 or 19 applications in one meeting that went on till 8 o'clock at night.
Wouldn't we move up the number of meetings then?
No, we meet once a month.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
All right.
that's at the schedule of council.
All right.
Anyway, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this application, present or online? Anything else from the committee? Committee's wishes are?
I'll second.
Sorry, that was Tim? Yeah. So file number ANPL 2023253 in the name of Frank Borgoff. In accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the requested relief is considered appropriate for the proposed development, minor in nature, and maintains the general intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. And approved. Okay, next up we have file number BNPL 2023260, Bradley and Kristen Bavart. Hope I have that right. And the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, what you'll have seen published in the agenda has been precursored by the previous or the original proposal, and then the proposal has been amended now, and the application seeks a frontage of 94.5 meters, a width of 94.5 meters, a depth of 61.57 meters, and having an area of 0.583 hectares, and retain a parcel having an area of 3.217 hectares as the creation of a lot in the agricultural designation. The subject lands are located on the south side of Highway 3 to the west of East Quarter Line Road. It is formed of 2 lots of record. The subject lands have a total area of 9.8 hectares between the 2 lots, 9.5 acres between the 2 lots. This application refers to lands with civic addresses of 5172 and 5182 Highway 3 Nanticoke. They currently have separate roll numbers. And 5172, the land to be severed, is also currently zoned rural commercial, whilst the retained lands are zoned agricultural. The purpose of this application is due to the 2 lots being purchased at the same time, are adjacent to one another, are in the same ownership, and were therefore merged on title. This is not a recognized merger in planning terms, given the 2 lots still retain separate roll numbers and civic addresses. As such, the application for severance is not required. The severance of these 2 lots on title needs to be a legal process through the applicant's lawyers, not through planning. This was discussed with the applicant prior to the submission of the application. The proposal would not result, regardless, the proposal would not result in the loss of any existing cultivated farmland, nor would it adversely affect the operation or viability of the surrounding farm operation. However, in general, a severance of a dwelling not surplus to the needs of farming would not be supported and would be contrary to the Planning Act, the PPS, and the official plan. Given these lots have separate roll numbers and civic addresses, and therefore in planning terms are already separate lots, compliance with the relevant legislation is not material and a severance through planning is not required. Were a severance to be approved, both lots would be deficient in terms of lot size and would require minor variances to address this. However, as previously noted, the only solution to a merger on title is through legal means, not through planning. As a decision on Committee of Adjustment files must be made, the only option in this instance is a refusal. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an agent or applicant present or on the line? Okay. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? I have one. So these lots, to be clear, are already severed, correct?
Through you, the lots have never been combined. Whenever they were severed in the past, they remain severed.
So they are severed today?
So there's the 2 sections. There's a merger on title, and then there is what we would consider to be the lots have been merged. These lots haven't been merged. They still have the same roll numbers. They still have separate pins. They still have separate civic addresses.
So for all intents and purposes, they are severed today, right
Yeah.
now? Okay.
Whilst they may legally appear on the same title deed, in terms of planning, there's nothing we can do. They are separate in terms of planning.
Okay. Linda?
Well, I have questions for the applicants, but also, like I looked back, these types of applications we've dealt with in the past, and I looked back actually up to 2 years and found 3 that were similar. But the most recent one was in August and was in Turkey Point. 2 Harold Street was the one property. They both had separate roll numbers and they had been merged. And the justification for the severance was that it was an administrative or technical matter, and it, as long as they're minor in nature, it conforms to the official plan. And this to me seems very similar, so I don't understand. Like, I'm assuming that the applicants have had some advice that what they need to do to separate from the registry office would have combined that. And I know this previous application that we dealt with in August, it was a validation certificate that basically I think confirms Hannah's shaking her head no.
Finish up.
Well, the registry office, like, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think the registry office would separate them without some form of paperwork and ensuring that there's compliance with the Planning Act.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask the applicants.
Ask the applicants to come up and maybe you can address a couple of these questions for us and
I feel like it's a little more
podium.
complicated than what it's appearing. And my reluctance here is if we refuse this report, then the applicants have spent almost $5,000 on an application that, in fact, they may require, or the registry office may require something. So that's my question is, have you consulted with the lawyer and do you actually know what the registry office requires?
Yes. So first of all, thank you, because I think you've gotten to basically the exact point that we're at. I've written up kind of a submission. We have extra copies. I don't know if you want me to distribute it just from our standpoint and from where we've come from. We have some extra for you guys. Otherwise, if you want, I can just read it as well.
give us a synopsis of it. Yeah.
Okay. So essentially just what your member here has said, basically, we had to apply on the advice of our lawyers to legally separate the two properties, 5172 and 5182. They were automatically legally merged at the point of sale to the previous owner because they're right beside each other and they were purchased at the same time, and they were in the same ownership, so they automatically get merged on title. According to the recommendation report provided by the planning department, they don't recognize this merger in planning terms. So essentially, it seems like the lots are merged in title, but not physically merged. We just want to provide a little additional information because we're a little bit, again, nervous that the planning department has recommended that you refuse the severance. We've been directed by two real estate lawyers from two different firms that, contrary to the planning department's report, we do need a legal severance to separate the titles. Unfortunately, our lawyer wasn't able to be with us today to provide some more information on that. But our argument otherwise, yes, exactly what you said for the technical reasons. We were looking through ourselves the official plan document, and it says directly from the official plan, this would be our kind of our legal argument is that consent to sever land may be considered for the following purposes. And then item 6 of that was technical reasons, including minor boundary adjustments, corrections of deeds, quit claims, easements, right-of-ways, or other purposes that don't create an additional separate lot and that don't change the configuration so that a non-agricultural lot is created, which would not be in conformity with the policies of this plan. We would posit that the lots are already two separate lots on paper. One is already zoned rural commercial, one is agricultural. So we're not actually creating a separate lot. We just need this severance as part of the legal requirement so that we can separate the titles. Yeah, does anybody else have any other questions about that?
I don't have any questions, but just for the committee. So I looked back, there was in March 16th, 2022, we dealt with an application. Now, each application is unique. I recognize that, and the circumstances might be slightly different, but it was basically to sever, and it was dealing with a property that had been merged. And also in June 15th of 2022, there was another application that was basically dealing with a property that had merged. And then there was the one in August of this year that Henny was familiar with. And she was kind of shaking her head. It was a little bit different than this, but I don't know if you want to provide any comments with regards to that.
Yes, please, Kayla.
Thank you. Couldn't help myself just because it's top fresh. So the one referenced in Turkey Point, what I will clarify is through planning policy, planners review the provincial policy statement and the official plan, and then finally the zoning bylaw. When it comes to merges on title in the agricultural designation, we review the provincial policy statement as it pertains to agricultural areas. So section 2.3 of the provincial policy statement, and then following that, the official plan. So we're looking at section 7.2.4. All that to say is the current provincial policy and official plan is quite restrictive when it comes to lot creation in agricultural areas, whereas in the resort residential zone would happen in August. That was a merge on title. It was also an interesting one because it's not subject to subdivision control, but it's within the resort residential area. So, which has its own restrictions. Typically, new law creation is also carefully monitored because of the LPRCA and flooding hazards, but even they understood it was a legal exercise. So I just want to distinguish that is a difference between that particular property and this particular property. And then again, the validation certificate, that wasn't the case as far as I understand. I think in my 2 years here, I've seen one validation certificate happen. So they're exceedingly rare. They do happen, but they're essentially like errors that happen that our planning seeks to address. Yeah, that's it for me. Thanks.
Linda?
Okay, so with regards to this, and you've heard the applicants have said that they've consulted 2 different real estate lawyers. I tend to agree, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I tend to agree with their statements that this is what's required for the registry office to do this. I know even when you sell a property, a lawyer took a box and they're registering the deed that it complies with Planning Act. So that's just for a simple sale. So I know to separate this, I'm sure the registry office will have some requirements. And at the very least, if the committee doesn't want to, I would say we should at least refer it to get. And I noticed it was circulated to the realty services, and there was no comment provided by them for Norfolk County. So I know Lydia worked at the registry office for a number of years, and she would have inquired, but there was no comment. So
So
at the
if
very
we
least,
if we refer it, we need to give direction.
well, I'm inclined myself to approve it, but
So let me, again, I'm not clear. Are these lots are already severed? We're not creating 2 lots because the lots are already been created. Is that correct or not?
The difficulty, I think, sorry, through the chair, the difficulty is trying to ascertain what we in planning are allowed to do based on policy.
Right.
And however, what the civil law might require in order to make this adjustment. If we were looking at this as a severance, a straight up severance in the agricultural zone, it would be no. To create that lot with the house on it would not happen under current policy. Against provincial, against local, just no. So that's still kind of our starting point. And in the things that I had read through that we had, I believe, from one of your lawyers, it didn't ever come through clearly that this was a requirement for, like a technical requirement legally. It's been presented to us as being, this is a severance, but there's nothing to sever. And so this is where perhaps some confusion has come from. I mean, I'm happy to look at, if we were to do it, if you were to be happy to recommend a referral, I'm happy to look at what we can. I would suggest that the direction would be to staff to be, to look into this a little bit more, and see if there is something within the act that would allow us to do this as a technical adjustment. I'm not sure if there is, but I'm certainly happy to dig deeper if that's necessary, so that we don't have to restart the process and sort of dead end it at this stage.
Let me ask the applicants, what is your end accomplishment here? You want two lots to be severed on title and physically severed as they are now.
Yeah, so we just want to, we want to stay on the larger portion. It's gonna be like 7.9,
Yeah, I
but
just,
Yeah.
the lots are physically severed now,
correct,
but not on title.
right. So we're just trying to get it off title because my brother wants to buy the one off me.
Gotcha.
So-
Okay.
Through the chair, quick
Go ahead.
question. I'm feeling like it's a bit redundant because, as you said, they are actually severed, but not on title. And I also am sort of leaning in the direction of approving this. So my question is to the planners. What would the future hold if we refused it? It would just exist like this indefinitely?
Through the chair, until either a legal process had been gone through, or presumably until we can figure out a way to allow it through planning policy. Because it's not something that we would generally allow, a severance in the countryside, in the agricultural zone. So we would need to find that piece that allows us to process this as a technical adjustment as opposed to a severance. And for that, and because there's also no conditions appended to this, we would need to refer it because there's no conditions to attach to a decision.
I'm going to make a suggestion that we move to refer this for our staff to get some opinion from Realty Services, for example. And I know you've been to two lawyers, but I think you're not getting clear opinions maybe on, are they both the same opinion from both lawyers?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you know him, but Greg Headley out of Dunville. He's been a lawyer for 52 years. He said he's never ever heard of a planning department say that you don't need a severance to separate a title. He said it's absolutely has to be.
But the lots are already severed.
Well, according to Norfolk, their two roll numbers is still two property tax codes. Like I called MPAC, it's still two property taxes through them, but it's just literally one title. So in order for the process to continue forward, the severance needs to go forward.
Let me go through the process here and see if there's anybody is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this application, either online or present? Hearing none. Linda?
I want to ask the applicants, if we refer this for staff to investigate further, is that going to cause you any hardship? Like, I know your brother wants to buy the property, but if it's delayed, is that, like, I mean, is it urgent that this?
Oh, we're trying to make the new house, not more accessible for our daughter. But yeah, we kind of need the funds right now, right? So
Well, I think a referral is the lesser of the two evils of refusal.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, so,
We're happy either way.
okay, so what are the wishes of the committee?
I just want to ask
Oh, I'm sorry.
one more question for staff. So if we refer it tonight, do you have any idea when it might come back to the committee? Like time-wise, how long?
Excuse me, November's committee, I believe, has been closed, but it can certainly come to December's. There shouldn't be any problem getting the information we need in the next couple of weeks. And then it can come back to December's.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I don't know if anyone else has any comments, but I'm willing to make a recommendation that we refer this back to staff and get some advice maybe from the county lawyer as well as Realty Services.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have anything else to add? Questions, concerns? Tim?
I'll second the
Second
motion.
one?
Yes.
Okay. So Linda moves a referral, Tim seconds, file number BNPL 2023-260, Bradley and Kristen Bavart, I hope I have your name correct, that on names, has been moved to be referred. All in favor? That is carried.
to the chair, can I add one thing? If you guys could get your lawyer here next time, that would be a huge help,
Yeah,
right? Just for clarity, online, whatever, just bring them here or her here. And then we have an idea, of their standpoint too, right? Okay, thank you.
yeah. Thanks. Okay. Next up, file number BNPL 2023254, Berlinda Holmes, care of Thomas O'Hara. And I understand that there are three. So BNPL 2023, 270, and 271. Anna.
Thank you. I understand through the chair, it's okay to combine these together. Okay.
Yes.
So I'll read out the proposals for BNPL 2023-254. An application has been received to sever a parcel having a frontage and width of 65 meters, depth of 94 meters, an area of 6,034 square meters, retaining a parcel having an area of 7,069 square meters, as the creation of a residential lot in Waterford. Regarding BNPL 2023-270, an application has been received to create an easement with a frontage of 3.7 meters, width of the same, depth of 59 meters, an area of 437 square meters, for purpose of shared driveway access for the lands to be retained through the earlier application referenced. And lastly, BNPL 2023-271. The application has been received to create an easement with a frontage and width of 3.7 meters, depth of 59 meters, an area of 437 square meters for the purpose of a shared driveway access for the lands to be severed through BNPL 2023-254. So the subject lands are located east of the intersection of Blue Line Road and Old Highway 24. The effect of the severance application is to sever the residential portion of the lands and establish two easements of identical dimensions located on each resulting parcel in order to facilitate the shared driveway. For context, the lands are currently the subject of a zoning bylaw amendment set in PL 2023-275 for the commercial portions of the lands to the north to permit a retail use of 810 square meters of usable floor area. An informational report on the zoning bylaw amendment was recently presented at the October 4th, 2023 Public Hearing Committee. Supporting documents submitted include technical reports, for example, the Functional Servicing Report, Stormwater Management Report, General Plan of Services, and Traffic Impact Study, and a Planning Justification Report included in Attachment 4. With the direction from the PPS, planning staff support compact design and mixed-use development to support broader goals such as transit-oriented communities and efficient land use planners. Section 9.6.3.2 outlines policies pertaining to consents to sever in Norfolk County. Table 1 of my report summarizes some key sections in the relations to the application in full. The merits and impact of the proposed use on the severed parcel, a 44-unit apartment building, and retained parcel, which is proposed to be developed as a fast food restaurant and retail space, will need to be evaluated and considered by both council through the associated planning approval processes for the zoning bylaw amendment. Similarly, the conformity of any future site plan applications to the zoning bylaw, building code, and engineering will need to be evaluated by staff once a site plan application has been received, deemed complete, and circulated. Recognizing the subject consent and easement applications are being considered in advance of any other required planning permissions, staff understand these applications meet the intent of provincial policy statement, official plan, and zoning policies in principle, albeit conditional to proposed uses. Some items to note. So through discussion and review with the applicant and planning staff, conditions 2 and 3 can be removed. With that said, staff support the application and recommend it be approved subject to the attached conditions. Available for questions. Thank you.
Are conditions 2 and 3 on which particular application?
Thank you. Apologies. So condition 2 for all 3 applications, BNPL 2023-254, 270, and 271, which is that planning required the zoning bylaw amendment be complete. That can be removed. And conditions 3 for the easement applications, 2023-270 and 271, which regards the traffic impact statement from engineering can also be removed.
So just so I have that right, 2 and 3 on 254 and 270.
Work backwards.
Sorry.
So it's okay. So all of the applications will have condition 2 removed, which is the declaration.
Right.
And then for 2 applications ending with 270 and 271, we'll have condition 3 removed, which is the item that references the traffic impact study. Okay, thanks.
Is there an applicant or agent present? Okay, thank you, John. Is there any questions of the committee? For the planner? Mr. Valley, anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. We're happy with the report from staff. And I just want to double check with you that we've got these conditions right, because it is a little confusing. So on the application, last 3 digits, 254, which is the severance, we're understanding that the condition requiring a declaration of a zoning bylaw amendment is going to be deleted. That's condition 2 on file 254. Then on application for severance, which is the last 3 digits, 270, condition 2, which is the same condition, would be deleted, and condition 3, requiring the traffic study. Those would both be deleted. And then on the file ending in 271, again, condition 2 requiring the zoning bylaw amendment, and condition 3 for the traffic study. Those would all be deleted. I just want to make sure that we're very, very clear on those aspects.
That's what I have here.
We're happy with the staff report and the approvals. This is obviously required to facilitate a larger development, and we're more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. We ask for an opportunity to respond to any comments that may come from the public.
Sure thing. Anything to Mr. Valley from the committee? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone present or online that wishes to speak to this application? Yes, sir. Please step forward. State your name for the record. You have to turn the mic on. There you go.
Chairman and council, my name is Brian Bunting. We're talking about this development here. I worked in the Tony Inn survey. I built probably 50% of the homes. I built a condo complex in there. So the first application, which was brought about a year ago, Tom, Eric, and people in the Yin survey made together, and we addressed a lot of these concerns. There are some concerns we have with regards to this survey. One of the biggest concerns we have is the 2 of the exits will be on Lamb Boulevard. Their plan is to have a restaurant there, a drive-through. We have children that are picked up on buses there, Lamb Boulevard, right in that corner area. There's a lot of traffic coming out of Yin survey. There's 3 exits out of Yin survey. And Lamb Boulevard being the busiest. So we're very concerned of how much traffic is going to come on that single lane. Okay, maybe there needs to be another turning lane in there. Our request is that the turning lanes would be off the old Highway 24. We look at other drive-through restaurants in Simcoe. They all exit off of Highway 3 or main drives. In Waterford on Tim Hortons, they access off the old Highway 24. So yes, we're very concerned about the exiting off of this survey. Our other concern is
with regards to, well, we're fine with the commercial area. But our concern was with regards to the 4-level development, apartment building. Through the survey, in survey, we had a maximum height of two levels in that survey, according to bylaws. Now they're proposing a 4-level apartment building. That survey is probably the most expensive survey in Waterford. And so we're concerned about the 4-level apartment building. The people, or probably the low-level, what it's going to attract and the problem is going to, we will incur after. Now, I live right in the survey. I'm third building, probably the third house from that survey. I'm very, I have a big concern here. And also representing the committee units. So, yes, that's other areas of concern is there's a stormwater retention pond there, which we are concerned that we don't want to see that affected with the drain offs that come off that heading towards Highway 24. I'm sure Douglas Valley's going to be working with them with that, but we have a concern with that, which will affect the whole survey. And I've seen that retention pond fill up. It fills up twice a year. Yeah. So those are the concerns we have at our committee, and very concerned. We are very concerned about it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Any questions from the committee?
I just have a question. So with regards to the height of the building, I'm assuming that would have gone through council for a zoning bylaw amendment. And did you attend that council meeting?
We were sent letters in though. Neville Lane sent letters in. Rick, which I have copies of. Letters were sent in.
Thank you. So
we were sent them into Mohammed.
okay. So I'm assuming council would have saw those letters and council approved that. So this committee cannot change what council's approved in the zoning bylaw amendment. So in terms of your other concerns, I feel like that would be dealt with through the site plan approval process. There's a development process that happens that deals with entrances and parking and all of those other things that this committee doesn't really deal with.
Just let Mr. Valley respond if he wants. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I think the comments from Linda are spot on here. We're here today to ask for a severance to separate a piece of property along its current existing zoning lines. The north portion has one zone, the south portion has another zone. So we're asking to sever along those existing zoning bylaw defined lines, and we're asking for easements for shared access. The concerns are expressed regarding, the height of buildings and so on. There has been no zoning amendment applied for on that residential portion. That zoning has been in place on that property for a long time, many, many years. And the developer is proposing a development that is completely within the existing zoning provisions, and no amendment has been made for that land. Similarly, there's been discussion about, fast food restaurants and drive-through lanes and all these. That is a permitted use today. The applicant has not made any application to change that in any way. So these concerns that you're hearing before you are concerns that the applicant is proposing a development that conforms with the existing zoning on the property that has been there for many, many years. There is an application that has been made to include some retail in the commercial zone, but that again is irrelevant to the discussion before committee today. All we're asking for is to divide our property in half, so we have a existing commercial zone on one half and an existing residential zone on the other half with a shared easement in the middle. So yes, member Linda is spot on the money. When the concerns that Mr. Bunning have can be addressed through site plan and so on, but they're not really an issue before this committee today.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the committee? The wishes of the committee are we'll have to do these separately, so let's go with, sorry? You have to come up to the microphone and, so we can have it on the record. You have to turn the microphone back on.
If this is such a concern with all the residents of Yin Survey, why was the traffic study dropped?
Thank you. Through the chair, just to clarify, the requirement for a traffic impact study has not been dropped for the site plan process itself and the zoning bylaw amendment that is currently being considered by council, the zoning piece. Development engineering staff will review in full doing that piece of work at time of the zoning bylaw amendment and the site plan application. The intent of the removal of the condition is just to reduce duplication on the part of the severance application and easement applications. So it isn't being dropped, just to clarify that that piece is being reviewed at a later time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to see that traffic study.
Well, it hasn't been dropped completely. It's been dropped for the purposes of these two applications. Okay? Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this application, online or present? Hearing none, well, the wishes of the committee are with file number BNPL 2023-254. And that is a severance.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Tim.
I will say one thing though to the public person. It sounds like you got some more opportunities to raise your concerns to council. So maybe you take your shot there.
Seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Phil. So moved by Tim, seconded by Phil, file number BNPL 2023-254, Verlinda Homes Care, Limited Care of Thomas O'Hara. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, complies with the policies of the Norfolk County official plan regarding the creation of a lot within an urban area, and meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. All in favor? Is carried. Thank you. Okay, and next is file number BNPL 2023270. That is to create an easement. The wishes of the committee are. Linda?
I'll move to approve.
Linda moves to approve.
Lisa, second.
Lisa, thank you. So file number BNPL 2023270, Verlinda Homes, care of Thomas O'Hara. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, complies with the policies of the Norfolk County official plan regarding the creation of a lot within the within the urban area, and meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. All in favor?
Alan, just one thing. The motion should maybe read to approve with the conditions removed or as amended.
As amended, as the
Yes.
conditions as amended? Okay, I'll make a note of that. Okay, so file, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, finally, application BNPL 2023271, Verlinda Homes Limited, care of Thomas O'Hara. And this is the creation of another easement. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Linda?
I'll move and as with the conditions as amended.
Okay, seconder. Bill, thank you. So file number BNPL 2023271 in the name of Verlinda Homes, Thomas O'Hara. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, complies with the policy of the Norfolk County official plan regarding the creation of a lot within an urban area, meets the intent of the zoning bylaw and as amended, conditions as amended. All in favor? That's okay. Okay, so next up we have, file number BNPL 2023242, Coin Dixon Developments, Inc. Planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to sever a parcel having a frontage of 30.48 meters, a width of 30.48 meters, a depth of 215 meters, and having an area of 10,181 square meters, and retain a parcel having an area of 1,418 square meters as the creation of a lot. Subject lands are located on the south side of West Church Street near the junction with McCall Street. The lot is approximately 11,505 square meters in area, with a lot frontage of approximately 54 meters on West Church Street. The land is a former industrial site which has, through ZPNL 2022-335 and OPNPL 022333, has changed use to R1A for the proposed retained lot and R4H with a holding for the proposed severed lot. At the time of the site visit, there appeared to be some possible remaining industrial storage on site, as this is no longer a permitted use of the site and it should cease. The subject application will separate the land uses on the site following ZNPL 2022335 and the official plan amendment parallel to that, which approved the change of use from industrial for the proposed severed lands, both of which are within the urban area. Given this, it's staff's opinion that proposed application meets the intent of the Planning Act, the PPS, and the official plan. The retained R1A lot would have an area of 1,418 square meters, well over the required lot area of 450 square meters, and would be compliant in all other respects in terms of the provisions of the zoning bylaw. The severed lands are well beyond the requirements for an R4 lot. The proposal is considered minor and appropriate given the planning history of the site, and as such, it is the professional opinion of staff. The proposed development meets the overall intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and staff recommend this application for approval. By way of update, a third party did get in touch with us to leave a comment, raising concerns, I believe, about the size of the retained lot, the R1A lot, in that it was going to be too large and out of scale with surrounding properties. I'm not sure if that email was circulated or not, but as I say, within the R1A zone, whilst there's a minimum lot area, there's not a maximum, so this doesn't present any particular difficulties. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an agent or applicant present? Okay, we'll get to you in a second. Anything from the committee to the planner on this application? No? Okay, you're up. Okay, go ahead, Tim.
Was one of your conditions, because you had some concern or somebody had some concerns about, leftover storage, if you will, is one of the conditions to get rid of that junk?
No, because it's somewhat outside the remit of this application. It was just highlighted.
Sir, anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Scott Flandre with G. Douglas Valley. I'm the planner for the file. Just sort of an update on what was on the property. There's no industrial use on the property. It's mainly just farm equipment and some storage trailers, that type of thing. So there's no industrial use on the property. Other than that, we do support the planner's report. Thank staff for their work, and I can obviously answer any questions committee might have as well.
Thank you. Any questions of the applicant or agent? No? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present or online that wishes to speak to this application? No? Okay. The wishes of the committee?
Lisa moves to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, file number BNPL 2023242 in the name of Acoin Dixon Developments, Inc. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, complies with the policies of the Norfolk County Official Plan regarding the creation of a lot in an urban area and meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, next up is file number ANPL 2023230. Marina Sullivan, and the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to construct a new additional residential dwelling unit, or ADU, requiring relief of 1 meter from the maximum height of 5 meters to permit a height of 6 meters, 38 meters from the maximum permitted distance from the main dwelling of 40 meters to permit a total setback distance of 78 meters, and 37 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area for an ADU of 75 square meters to permit a usable floor area of 112 square meters. The subject lands are located west of the intersection of Highway 5 and Concession 8 Townsend. The subject lands are approximately 35 acres and are occupied by a single detached dwelling, barn for storage, and detached structure and small fenced area used for a horse shelter and run. Subject lands are predominantly used for agriculture, and all the buildings and structures are located at the end of a long laneway with hydro poles and lines running along. The lands similarly are predominantly designated and zoned agricultural. There's a portion designated and zoned hazard land to the west that also has an overlay of significant woodlands. So just want to begin with thanking the applicant and property owner for their continued work and collaboration on this item. Through discussion with the property owner, it is the understanding of staff the following justification was provided for the location of the detached ADU. So the property owner grows cash crops every year and wants to open up more workable land to the left side of the barn that sits between their primary dwelling and the existing barn. Putting the ADU in this area will not allow the owner to do that, which is how they make an extra income. With having 37 acres available and access to the existing driveway, the current location was chosen as it is not used this space right now and would benefit from the ADU being placed there. The primary house is situated on top of a hill and drops off at the back and to the left of the house. The primary house also sits at an angle, so any buildings to the left would obstruct the property owner's view to their side yard and bush line, which they enjoy looking at. There is a tree line that runs across the front yard to the forested area. The property owner would have to run hydro lines and additional laneway to get the ADU there versus where they've currently proposed to place the ADU, where there's an existing hydro pole and laneway. So the benefit of that, it would save costs. To the front of the house, there's an existing structure and fenced area used by a horse located in that space. And then they also cited some precedents. So they believe there are other homes in Norfolk County which are over 40 meters from the primary dwelling. So what I can say is, in my site visit, I am of the opinion that the single detached dwelling is indeed located on a hill. And there's also kind of smaller hills directly adjacent to the dwelling on the south. So I would agree that the grade and the location of the existing horse shelter can be understood as a limiting factor to the proposed location. Similarly, the western and southern portion of the subject lands intersect natural features and natural hazards, so specifically significant woodlands and the Nanticoke Creek, the latter of which is regulated by the Long Point Region Conservation Authority, noting here that the LPRC submitted a comment indicating no concern with the concept of the proposal. Planning staff support the preservation of natural heritage features, such as significant woodlands, through the direction of the provincial policy statement, and recognize the potential for new development to impact ecological functions. So it's my opinion the proposed location, which is not near existing natural features, also satisfies this goal of the provincial policy statement and official plan. I just want to note that while detached RDUs are permitted as a use in the agricultural designation and zone, where this land use occurs should always be carefully evaluated and on a site-specific basis. So it's always important to understand that ADUs are not houses. They're secondary and ancillary to the primary use, and they're not permitted to be severed from the existing lot of record. Norfolk County and the wider province of Ontario historically and continues to face pressure of land fragmentation in prime agricultural areas, which in turn has implications to how surrounding lots of record are affected by things such as MDS setbacks and requirements. We'll continue to evaluate proposals to locate detached ADUs which exceed the 40-meter setback requirement on a site-specific basis. I am of the opinion that the proposed development is located relatively far from the house, but I do want to make a point that there are indeed physical and ecological constraints to an alternative placement on the subject lands. For future applications which do not provide this level of justification and ground level truthing, staff would note there may not be support for an excess of almost double the setback requirement. It is also my opinion the relief requested for usable floor area and height can be understood as minor and desirable for the location due to the quantitative amount of relief requested being relatively small and the anticipated impact on the surrounding farmland, neighboring properties, and subject land's natural heritage features. So with that said, the application to permit this ADU, in my opinion, meets the floor test of a minor variance, and I do recommend it for approval. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Is there an applicant or agent present or online? Okay, get to you in a second. Any questions from the committee to the planner? No? Do you have anything to add? No? You're fine with everything that's been said? Okay, very good. Is there anyone present or online that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none, the wishes of the committee, please. To approve.
I'll second that.
Bill moves and Tim seconds. File number ANPL 2023-230 in the name of Karina Sullivan. In accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the requested relief is considered appropriate for the proposed development, minor in nature, and maintains the general intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, next up we have file number ANPL 2023-241 in the name of Rempel Heinrich. Planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. That which has been received. Air, we call it relief of 240 square meters. Permit a usable area of 315 square. From height. From
Okay, thank you. Is there an agent or applicant present? Okay. Is there any questions from the committee? And just before you start, Linda, I think you need to switch mics. There's something going on with your mic. Oh, the red light's not on, so there you go.
Hello?
Okay. I think you're still off. Sure.
Sorry. Yes,
There you go.
I was off for a moment. Apparently, it seemed to reboot itself or something. It was doing something very unusual.
Okay. Linda.
So I'm just confused a little bit about not the ADU, but the existing dwelling. Is that actually a bunkhouse?
Through the chair, the existing dwelling is, to my knowledge, an existing dwelling, but I think it is being used as a bunkhouse. That was what I got from the information provided, or at least that its intention will be that it will be used as the bunkhouse. Because the justification for the location of the ARDU so far away from that was to be further away from the seasonal workers accommodation. There is no other residential building on site but the host dwelling.
So on a normal farm, I think you can have a house, but you can also have a bunkhouse. So is it the issue with this application is the fact that they're calling it an ADU when it actually is going to be a primary residence, and the other property or the other house will be used as a bunkhouse? So if it was presented differently, would the, I guess, applications be viewed differently?
Through the chair, no, is the sort of the simple answer. You can only have one principal dwelling per lot. No matter how large it is, there's one. Anything else becomes either an ADU or some other accessory use like a bunkhouse. You can't retain the existing dwelling, build an ARDU, and recall that now the main dwelling, and that becomes the bunkhouse. That's not how planning works. That would have to be demolished to make that the primary, then rebuild the dwelling, bunkhouse. So it's not something that corresponds with policy at all, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, because the intent is there must be options, but I understand that it is not the ADU, so thank you.
Anything else from the committee?
If I could just come in for a
Oh,
second.
go ahead, Mike, Andrew.
Yeah, through the chair. There are other ways. It would be through some form of zoning bylaw amendment. You'd have to get a special provision to allow that kind of thing. We've done it before with retaining an outbuilding on land that's going to be severed, but it relates to someone's business. They want to keep that and build a new dwelling, but you have to get this sort of temporary zoning bylaw amendment in. And then so it's doable. It's just not something that's doable through committee of adjustment.
All right, okay. Anything else from the committee? Well, hear from the applicant or agent if you have anything to add. Did you want to ask that same question, Linda, to the applicant? No? Okay. Is there anyone online or present that wishes to speak to this application? No? Okay. What are the wishes of the committee?
We'll just ask one question to
Sure.
the applicant.
Come step forward, sir, and
The committee could defer the application and provide you an opportunity to amend it and work with planning to come up with another solution or rescale the size of the ADU. Are you interested in us deferring it?
Well, I'm not very familiar with this. I'm first time on site. It's from my sisters. He's there. That's my brother-in-law, Henry. And, they told me just to see if I can take it over and get an ARDU. Cause I tried to, like you said, you cannot have two houses on one, has to be an ARDU and stuff. What they're trying to do is just to move it farther away from the existing house and see if that was approved and then call that original house a bunkhouse.
Yeah, I think you're going about it the wrong way, maybe. I see what you're trying to accomplish,
Mhm.
but I think this is not the process to allow what you want your end result to be. We can defer it, refer it so that you can rework your proposal.
Okay.
Or the other option is to just flat out refuse it. So,
Through the chair, do you know if you have had an opportunity to speak with the planning department about the process and if you maybe could come to an agreement? Have you had that opportunity yet? Do you know?
I talked to the planet and
Okay.
they helped me fill out some paperwork for this minor variance. And they asked me if we could size it different to smaller it, but they want to move in with the family. The family wants to move in there. They move out of the original house into this one because it's so big now. It's like 1,800 square feet. But they told me to measure the basement and the main floor. Asked them if for sales, then we usually measure main floor, but they said with the livable space, I don't know for sure exactly how this all goes.
Yeah, through the chair, I think we would be more interested in referring it if there was a little bit of give, if they were willing to come back and maybe make some adjustments. And I'm not sure they're willing to do that, or they are willing to do that.
Well, I can definitely ask her and see
Okay.
if we can work with it.
I think I would be good with a referral so that you can work with it. And I would also suggest that sometimes it's good to get the help of a professional planner on your side to walk you through the process and that type of thing. So
Through the
just,
chair,
yeah, okay, go ahead, Tim. So,
sorry. Yeah, through the chair to planning. Is there any benefit to referring this? Would that help him by doing this?
Through the chair, the ARDU needs to be the ancillary building. So the main dwelling needs to be the main dwelling. So that's the existing one that's too small. So the only thing that we would look at is, okay, extend the existing dwelling and build an actual ancillary ARDU that gets used as the bunkhouse. That's how the process would work. Referring at this stage with the intention that the existing main dwelling is not going to remain the main dwelling is immaterial. There's no point. It's a waste of everyone's time. The reality is that the ARDU is the intended main dwelling, and that's not what this process is for. So it's still not, it wouldn't be allowable. No matter what we discussed, even if they reduced it by half, if it's still intended to be the main dwelling, it's not an ARDU, therefore can't be built. It's a second dwelling.
right. Okay.
Through the chair, I don't think that was my intention. It was to give the resources available so that the information was available. And I think maybe that's the piece that I feel is missing right now, is that maybe you don't have all the information that you could possibly need, not necessarily for that particular piece, but where to go moving forward. And I know that we have that available and maybe we could offer that.
Okay, thank you.
If I could just say, I mean, ultimately that's not the purpose of a referral. The referral is to seek additional information or to seek further studies or to seek an amendment. And that would need to be the direction, not for the benefit of giving additional information. That's just something we would do regardless to help them through the process
In that case,
afterwards.
why don't we do a defer? Because there is a big difference, I understand. So, would the committee be good with doing a defer?
Through the chair, can you explain A deferral for those
Referral, I
that
think
need
we
that
have the
information?
gist of a deferral, or a referral. The deferral allows the applicant and staff to kind of work within the application that they have or rework the application to get the end result. Hannah?
Hi.
Maybe
Thanks.
she can explain it better than me.
Just for clarification, a referral, so R, well, end of the day, is when you, the applicant and planners, we are given a direction from committee on what to do. The application itself will change. So either you provide more information or you change something about the nature of your proposal. Maybe the ADU gets smaller, it gets closer to the building, the main building, and then we recirculate to staff, we do another site visit, and then we bring a new proposal for a committee for consideration. A deferral, so D, no action is like staff doesn't do anything differently. The application stays exactly the same. It's just that a specific new date for your meeting happens. So yeah, just to clarify.
Okay. Thank you. So in that case, Mohammed in the back would like to speak.
So, Mr. Chair, I think Hona said that correctly. The only thing I would probably add that if the intention is to have a larger house, and if the intention is to have it further away as it is right now, like more than twice what is required, then probably whether it is a referral or deferral doesn't matter. It would be the same intention. The decision or recommendation would not be probably changed from a staff perspective. But if the applicant wish to work with the planner to meet the requirements as per the bylaws and maybe minor adjustments, then probably it would be justified to go for a referral and work with the planner to have a solution.
You have a preference. So your choices are a referral or a refusal. And a refusal would mean the application dies in the water and you'd have to refile a new proposal, new applications, new fees. All that goes with it too. It's a different process. Okay, so what would you prefer?
If I could have a referral,
And then we can go from there.
then we could go from there.
Okay.
If I could get any directions, how much closer I had to move it. If she doesn't want to have the house smaller, if I could just move it closer or something, if that would.
Okay. So that's our suggestion, my suggestion anyway. I also think I would suggest that you get some advice from a professional planner
Yeah.
to guide you in the whole process as to what you can do and what you can't do. And it might make, it's an investment, but it might make the whole process a little more simple for yourself.
Right.
Mohammed.
To Mr. Chair, just to clarify that right now the existing dwelling is small. Yes. And your additional dwelling needs to be smaller than the existing dwelling. So that's a basic policy requirement. So if that does not fit your intention, then even a referral will not work. You have to understand this and then you can move forward what you want to do. Another option would be refusing this application and then you demolish as Andrew mentioned, you demolish the existing dwelling and then you apply for a building permit, you don't have to come here for a primary dwelling unit which is larger than what it's right now. That's another option.
What she was trying to do, not to demolition this one. Just leave it for a bunker so she didn't have to build two houses.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to think outside the box here. I got a crazy one for you. Why don't you hire a building mover to move that one out, build a new primary?
It's nothing to do with this
Yeah.
application, and
I'm just
it's
trying
out of the
to- yeah.
realm of just the committee. Andrew.
Thank you. Through the chair, I just want it to be understood that the existing dwelling there has to be the primary dwelling. It cannot be used as a bunkhouse. So if the intention is to build an ARDU, to live in as the main dwelling, there's no point in a referral because I'm never going to support that. That's completely contrary to policy. The main dwelling that exists has to be the main dwelling, no matter what. The only way around that is, as Muhammad says, you demolish the existing and you build a new house. So if the intention for the ARDU is a way of forming a new house while keeping the old one, it's not permitted. It's completely contrary to policy and is not permitted. So that just needs to be totally clear
Yeah, I
that if
think-
we're going to refer, unless the entire proposal is turned around, the recommendation is still going to be a refusal. I just want that to be understood by everyone,
Okay,
that this is very much a policy-based issue. This is not and there's nothing that we can do or judge or smudge to make an ARDU into a primary dwelling. It cannot be done.
okay, thank you. I think you made your point very clear, Linda.
So I just want to note for the applicant, this application process to this committee is not the process that you should have taken for what you want to do. There is another option, I think you mentioned earlier. So you could talk to planning staff about going a different route. But for this committee, it's not the way to go for what you want to, the end result.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, well, we're not finished yet. Let me go through the formalities. Is there anyone present or online that wishes to speak to this application? No? And the wishes of the committee now are? Okay, Phil moves to refuse.
I'll second that.
Linda? So file number ANPL 2023-241 in the name of Rempel Heinrich. The application has been moved by Phil, seconded by Linda to be refused. In accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the requested relief is not considered appropriate for the proposal development, or is it minor in nature, and does not maintain the general intent of the Norfolk County official plan and the zoning bylaw. All those in favor? Phil? Linda? Myself? And opposed? So that motion is carried and refused. Okay. So last but not least, of course, is file number ANPL 2023-235, Ashley and Andrea Riddock. And the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. The chair, an application has been received to permit relief from section 3.24.2 of the zoning bylaw, which prohibits the strengthening or restoration of non-conforming structures that results in increased size to facilitate the development of a 25 square meter deck on an existing legal non-conforming single detached dwelling in the hazard land zone. The subject lands are located in Port Rarzy, east of the intersection of Commercial Road and Maple Boulevard. They are currently occupied by a single detached dwelling, garage, and boathouse. So the lands are designated as zoned hazard land. Section 3.1 of the PPS indicates that development shall generally be directed to areas outside of hazardous lands adjacent to the shorelines of the Great Lakes system. Comment received by the LPRCA indicates the proposal is consistent with section 3.1, and the LPRCA staff have no objection to the concept of this application. The official plan provides guidance on legally existing non-conforming uses in the hazard land designation. Regarding the Lake Erie shoreline area where there is existing non-conforming development, repairs and minor additions to buildings and accessory uses such as boathouses may be permitted. Section 3.24.2 of the zoning bylaw outlines permissions for non-conforming uses, which were outlined in the proposal. So because essentially there's a minor extension to the house, increasing the footprint through a deck, that's the relief that's being sought today. That said, I've reviewed the subject lands, the surrounding neighborhood character and nature of the proposal, and I'm of the opinion a 25 square meter deck is minor, desirable for the appropriate development of the lands, and meets the intent of the zoning bylaw and official plan, and recommend it be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an agent or applicant present? Okay. Anything from the committee to the planner? The agent applicant have anything to add? No, you're good with everything? Okay. The wishes of the, is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Presently or online? Hearing none. The wishes of the committee are? Move to approve. Thank you, Phil.
I'll second.
So file number ANPL 2023-235 in the name of Ashley and Andrea Riddick. Bill moves, Tim seconds. In accordance with section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the requested relief is considered appropriate for the proposed development. Minor in nature, maintains the general intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Approved. Any other business? Well, I would just like to say thank you to Jody for her short time served here. And good luck with your new endeavor in the building department. And I'd also like to welcome. She looks a little familiar. Sherry, and she'll be